Years of scientific research tie happiness to one single thing: strong connections. The quality of our relationships to family, friends, coworkers, nature, and community truly matter. Having deep roots gives us unlimited potential to be who we are and do what we love. When we feel connected, we are more generous, resilient, caring. When we feel connected, we take risks. We grow through failure. When we feel connected, we are more open to exploring our why. Take a moment and ask yourself 3 questions. What am I good at? What do I care about? What does the world need? That is your why.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Director of Community Performance for Traction On Demand, Michele Malpas.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. If you heard those 3 questions, we've had a lot of fun exploring those. What are we good at? What do I care about? And what does the world need? A lot of us can look at that as a company. We can also look at that on an individual level. What's really fun about Connection is I feel very at home here with this canoe and this scene. If you see the picture here, it's actually of Greg and I with our 3 kids on Mother's Day hiking. So for us, that connection to family and community, our local community and nature is truly important. When we set out to look at Traction for Good's why, and I've been sort of running and founded Traction for Good about 8 years ago when we were 10 people, and it's really evolved over the years now that we've grown to 600. And really what we want to do and why we exist is to strengthen the connection between people, causes, and communities. And I'll go into a little bit of our why. And sometimes you see the how. When we look at these 4 hows, you might kind of wonder how the connection is, so I'll kind of link that in. The first one is really around giving what we're good at, and that's building nonprofit capacity. We realized earlier on that what we do for companies, nonprofits also really need. And what's really cool about these transformational tech projects for nonprofits is that at the root of it is connection, is for nonprofits to better connect with the people that they care about. Over the last about 6-7 years, we've given $1.5 million in service grants to nonprofits, and it's really an opportunity for them to do more good. I often use the analogy of that soup kitchen. We're not the ones giving away the soup in the front, we're the ones in the background enabling them to give more soup and to better connect with the people that they want to serve. The second one is around inspiring philanthropy. This is one of my favorite ones, and it's really about our employees being able to connect with what they love and acting on it. So we have a goal for every single person at Traction to be a philanthropist, whether it's giving their time or money to something that they care about. And we run a ton of different initiatives to engage them. But one thing we just launched is Time for Good, and it's an opportunity for them to volunteer at a place of their choosing. So a lot of exciting things we're able to offer employees. The third one is around growing social business. This is where we are a proud B Corp. It's doing things like this and encouraging people to think about business in a different way. We founded the BC Tech Collective here in Vancouver with other tech companies to find better ways to collaborate together, to find ways that how can we encourage tech startup companies to incorporate community from the very beginning. And the fourth one is around empowering kids. Originally, we had this more around coding, and what we've seen over the evolution is really around empowering kids to code, learn, and explore. And instead of launching a coding camp, we actually do a coding and mountain biking camp. We see such value in teaching kids how to code in that new language of our time, but there's just as much value in being in nature and learning those soft skill sets that you do through sport. And we've really expanded that this summer. We've also actually done an introduction to philanthropy, and we did this with Traction Kids to Start, and now we're taking into schools and different programming, because just as you go to school for math and you learn all these things, philanthropy and being generous is also something that is a really cool thing that we're able to teach. So beyond all this good that we've done with Traction for Good, I talked about the evolution, and what I really, really liked about the evolution of Traction for Good is kind of the start. It started out traditionally as that corporate social responsibility program. But what I feel with a CSR program is we don't, it pigeonholes all the good that we do into one element. Often corporate social responsibility programs traditionally have been seen as a cost or constraint on a business, not as sort of a source of opportunity, or it's on the side of somebody's desk. And I really feel that companies have so much more of an opportunity to integrate it into everything that they do. Traction for Good for us is a way of being. It's how we treat each other. It's how we learn. We have a leadership development called Real Talk, and it's all about how can we communicate better with our customers and with each other. It's how we collaborate in our squad model. So growing from 1 to 600 people, how do you keep that community feel, that small family feel? And so our squad model kind of contributes to that. It's how we onboard and train our team. And one really cool thing that we were able to do recently with our internal assets and training is we're actually launching it starting next week. It's a 10-week pilot program. It's a Salesforce enablement training program for people that have barriers to employment to find meaningful work, to increase diversity in technology. So here we took something that was internal that we have and leverage for our team, and we took it and said, like, you know what, this is actually something that we can share, and we've partnered with some nonprofits to bring people to the table. So I'm really excited about that one. Traction for Good is even how we make decisions, where good can be at the root of every single decision that we make. We even have it as a decision on how we travel. 7 years ago, we were going to Dreamforce, Salesforce's annual conference, and we said, you know what, instead of just piling a bunch of people on an airplane and flying down, let's do a road trip, and let's do good along the way. So the Bandit Tour for Good was born. It's 7 years strong, and it's become such a big piece of our culture. Now, this line often actually seems controversial. It makes people uncomfortable. And a lot of today has been around dispelling the myths of this. Doing good is good for business, and we need to make sure, and we need these businesses to thrive. The slick marketing campaigns of the day have long passed, and employees are really catching on to that. You can't get away with that anymore. We've recently been named, just last month, the #1 workplace in Canada, and we're extremely proud of that. And one of the biggest things, it wasn't a marketing application that we submitted. It was more around, it was an anonymous survey through employees, and it was really how they feel. And it wasn't just our CSR, corporate social responsibility program. It was so much more than that. This is an interesting stat that I just saw. 1/3 of our life is spent at work. And we've heard a lot today about the integration, right, of how we're bringing, it's not a company I work for and the nonprofit I volunteer with, and this is what I do in my personal life. Those lines are blurring in a very meaningful way. And one thing I love to do at Traction, with Traction for Good, is how we develop our relationships with nonprofits. I was the former executive director of the Take a Hike Youth at Risk Foundation before I was with Traction, and one of my least favorite responses was, oh, sorry, we gave to you last year, so we're not going to give to you this year. Those types of relationships between funders, I feel like they're kind of the way of the past. But for us, it's truly important to build some long-term relationships with nonprofits, and the ones that we do give grants to, we want to make sure that we support them over and over again in a very meaningful way. When you guys all came in to TractionForce today, you all had the opportunity to vote where you wanted us to donate. So we chose, basically when TractionForce started, instead of giving away swag, we would give you the opportunity to give that money away. So the 3 organizations we selected, they're going to have the choice to select cash or service grants. And actually, what's really cool is we're going to soon introduce Alex Honnold up here. With the Honnold Foundation, we found out that they actually had Salesforce licenses but hadn't implemented it because they weren't really quite sure how. And so it's really cool that we're actually, through this relationship, we're going to be able to enable Honnold Foundation on Salesforce. So I'm really excited to kind of go on that journey with them. So we are going to have Alex up, but before I would like to invite him up, I would love to have Dory Trimble join me, and she's the executive director of the Honnold Foundation, and she's going to help me introduce Alex. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.